Hey guys, it's Chris here and welcome back to the channel. Today I've got something really cool. We've got a brand new series I'm introducing you guys to, and that is a 3D scanning series. I've always wanted a 3D scanner. I do a lot of engineering and most of my reverse engineering is manual using calipers like the ones on the wall there, and it's great, it's accurate, but it's time consuming. I've always wanted to get my hands on a 3D scanner so that I can see how quick and easy it is to actually scan something, reverse engineer it, and then use it in designs and what have you. So we are gonna be scanning this wooden mannequin today. This is my first session with a 3D scanner. I've learned a few tips. I've been doing a bit of research online, so I'm not completely new, but take it from me, I am a complete beginner. I am literally inexperienced with 3D scanners. So I'm gonna be learning during this series with you guys. So I'm going to be showing all mistakes, all successes, hopefully we have some, and just documenting the journey with you guys. So if you're looking to get a 3D scanner or you're just looking for a bit of entertainment, you are in the right place. I'm going to do my best to show you how these things work. But as I said before, I'm going to show you the good and the bad, and we'll just learn together because like I said, I am learning with you. Let's do it. Let's produce something and let's see how this guy right here comes out. Hopefully we have a success. Now let me just show you the subject before we get started. I'm going to show you exactly what I've got as my setup. So this is a turntable that I got from Amazon. It's a really cheap one. I think it was like £15. But it allows me to spin it, and you're going to see in a minute that's very beneficial. You're going to see also I've scattered random objects. There's coins, there's a small little washer, there's a doorbell pin and a nut. There's a good reason for that, and that is ultimately so that when we are scanning, the scanner has got a distinguished object that it can pick up on to help keep it aligned, because these scanners have tracking built into them. But if there's nothing definitive or if there's no kind of silhouette for it to pick up on, then it can ultimately lose its tracking. So I'm hoping having these items, which aren't, they are literally randomly placed, having those in place will allow us to keep tracking and scan this well. We are also scanning with the Creality OtterLite 3D scanner. I'm going to be using it handheld like this. I'm not going to be using the scan bridge today, just because, I want to do it. And I'm also going to be using the USB-C cable and plugging it into the laptop. I have got the software set up here. When you first plug it in, you do get a little tutorial walkthrough, which talks you through basic way to use this machine. Without further ado, let's get onto this and let's get scanning. And first thing you want to check is that your scanner is connected. Mine is. I've got it connected via the USB cable that comes with it, which makes life a little bit easier. I think you get higher frames per second when you do that, but you can also do it wirelessly. We are going to click on new project and we are going to call our project Wooden Man. And I'm going to click OK. What that then does is it brings us to our setup page for the scan part of it. Now we've got point cloud or global marker. We're using point cloud. I haven't used global marker yet. I don't really know what it is, but I think point cloud is where it creates lots of little points, joins them together to make your solid scan at the end. We're going to use normal object mode. If you hover over these things, by the way, they give you a good idea of what it's for. This says it is recommended to use scanning spray before scanning. We're not going to be doing that, but that's because we've got markers on the build, or on the turntable, that hopefully will make our lives a little bit easier and not mean we have to do that. We've got the size bit here and it gives you some dimensions. I'm using medium mode. We're going to be using geometry tracking mode because we have a very defined shaped object here, which should play into that. Once again, you can see the difference if you hover over that. We want exclude flat base off. I don't want it to exclude this base because I've got my markers on there, which I want to use to make sure it doesn't lose the tracking. Because of some shapes being complex, it ultimately needs to know what it's looking at. And if it doesn't have an idea, or if it looks very similar all the way around, it can forget where it is and lose tracking. So we are putting those there in the hope that that will resolve that. So now let's have a look. And let me just show you as well. This is what I mean when I said I had it plugged in via USB. It's got some thumb screws that hold it in place. That's going to allow us to do what we need to do. So let's click preview. And you're going to see now, look, we've got a good outline of our model, which is great. And if you look to the top right, you've got the IR camera. It looks, if we hover over this part, we want it to be white for optimal exposure. We've got a color camera because it does track the color and try to map it for us. And then on the left, you've also got this bar, this color-coded bar, which tells you if you're too close or too far. So what I'm going to do, what my plan is to aim downwards towards the actual flat base and to try and capture initially the base and do a full 360 scan around it in the hope that it will then know where it is when I start going up. So let's click start, and you can also click the play button, by the way. I'll do that. And now we're looking down, and you can see on that screen, it is already picking up our items. I mean, I'm spinning it quite fast here, and it's doing a really good job, actually. So once we do a nice 360, and with these things, the slower you go, the more detail you pick up. And once it looks like once it actually goes green, that is showing us that it's got good information. It's got good solid reference points, and it knows what it's looking at. So I'm happy now that we've done a 360 scan on that base, which is brilliant. What I'll do now is I'll go face on so that we've got a nice silhouette and shape, and I'm going to slowly move up. But I'm going to make sure that the scanner, and I'll put this a little bit higher now, is facing down towards the base the whole time, in the hope that it can actually still see those individual items we've placed on the floor, and that it will not forget where it is then. So we're going to rotate it. We're going one step at a time here, and I'm going to try and make sure that cable stays out the way this time. Oh, so I've lost it, look, I've lost it. I'm going to hold it back, and it's found it again there. So that's what we want. Let me just move this camera a bit around because I keep getting in the way with the cable. So we're going to now move this around slowly but surely. And I need to make sure I'm the right distance away. I'm going to try and move it up. And we are capturing good information here. You can see it's going, it's actually going green really well. So I'm going to try and aim up a little bit here in the hope, and I'll move back a bit, that even the bits between the legs are going to get filled in. So let's move back up. I'm going to move it back and try and capture that hand. And I need to rotate a little bit slower here in the hope that it does actually capture all of the information. So we're moving around to the back now. So you can see having that base done first has really helped us, you know, pick up our items here and do a really good job. Let's move it up a little bit now. We're going in increments here. And I'll move the camera so you can actually see. I'm looking down on it. So we're going to rotate again. I'm going to move it back a bit because you always want to be a set distance from the closest object that you're scanning, so that ultimately that IR camera can do its job and identify what it's looking at. And this is looking really good. I mean, I better point it down. I'll point it down so that it can have reference points on the bottom. But I think because we've picked up most of it now, and it is such a distinguishable silhouette, I can imagine it's going to do a really good job no matter where I face it now. So I'm going to go up and down. What I am going to try and do is get underneath the arms, because I think they're a bit red at the moment. So if I look up there, it might lose the tracking now. I'll be interested to see what happens here. No, it hasn't. Wow. Okay, let's try and get under this arm then. Apparently I'm too close, so I'm going to move it away. Once again, it has not lost the tracking. So don't worry. One thing I will say as well is don't worry about all the stuff around the outside. We're going to go through the post-processing and get rid of that. And it's actually, I had a little practice. It is quite easy to do. So I've lost the tracking there, so I'm going to look down. I'm going to do one more rotation here just to try and get the top surfaces. But I think we are done. So look at that. That looks brilliant. So I'm going to, now that I'm done, I'm going to click the play button again. And what that will do, you should see that on the screen over here. you can now see that we have our object. Oh, I didn't get under the foot. So you can scan it, you can pause it and look around. That foot, I haven't got under that. I need to do something about that. So I'm glad that's happened because I can show you what we can actually do here. I am going to press play on it and it should pick up the scan where we left off. It might have a bit of a hissy fit at first, but once we find it and I start spinning it, it won't have any issues. I will now try and go a bit lower and capture that foot. And as you can see, I actually think it might have done it. I'm going to go around this way. There you go. There you go. So we're going to pause it again now. I'm going to put that down. I'm going to end the recording because we are at a stage now where we're going to move over to post-processing. Once we have got our scan to a point we're happy with, we're going to click complete, and then you're going to see a lovely, lovely image. And that is our finished product. Well, it's not finished, but that is our finished scanned product. You can see the base, you can see all the reference points, but we're actually going to clean that up now. On the right here, you'll see there's two options. There's a square selection or a lasso. We're going to start off with the square because it's nice and easy to select big chunks. And the way you do this is you press shift on the keyboard and then drag a box with the left mouse button. And you just select big areas and you delete them. It's as simple as that. Obviously, you need to be really careful and you want to make sure that you are very deliberate with your actions. But all in all, we're going to make sure that we get rid of as much as possible here in big, quick chunks just to speed up the whole processing time. I personally like to use that square lasso tool just to get rid of the bulk of the work around. It's quick, it's easy, you don't need to finesse it very much. But now for these parts, you can switch to the lasso tool. And as you can see, with the mouse, you can actually do a very, very careful and detailed line around the perimeter of whatever shape you've scanned. And I find that to be really, really handy because you can see here, it seems to be clever enough as well that if you do overlap the actual item, it seems to kind of know that it shouldn't delete that. So you can go through it, and as you'll see me do here, we're going to pick off anything on the outskirts, anything that doesn't look good, and we're going to remove it. Just for the record as well, if you look to the bottom right of the screen, there is a back command. So if you do find that you accidentally delete something that you shouldn't have deleted, you can actually go back and undo what you've done, which is really handy as well. You can actually do that during the scanning process as well. So it's really, really good actually. So no one ever taught me this. I kind of have just picked it up by myself. So if we do have any experts watching this and you can think of a better way for me to do it, or you've got any suggestions, I would love the feedback because I'm always trying to improve what I'm doing. So I think we've done a really good job up to this point. I've spotted a couple of extra little bits here that also need that refinement down. But if we zoom around, you'll see it's getting there. We're getting really, really close to where we need it to be here. So I'm just having a final scan. There is a part in between the legs. It's a bit of a suspicious looking object. It's not what you think it is. We're going to remove it. Chop, chop, chop. Goodbye. And look how clean that scan is. I'm so impressed with it. And I actually cannot believe how clear that has come out. So let's have a final check around. There are a few parts on the base that I think could do with a little tiny bit of refinement. So I'm going to go in. I like to do a thorough job on this. But if you are just practicing and you do just want to get good at this, I wouldn't worry about this element of it. Just go as detailed as you can get away with. So click the tick at the bottom right when you are done. And then what you have is a chopped image that looks really good. Now we are going to do a fusion that's going to fuse all the little dots together, the point cloud dots. I've sped it up. This will depend on how fast your computer is as to how quick it does it. But I've done it, and randomly it has produced two artifacts at the bottom there. But look how smooth it has now. It's fused everything together. So I'm just going to do the lasso tool around these two parts and get rid of them again. But we're really happy. You can see the base has got a hollowed out edge on it. You can actually do it where you do two scans and join them together. I'm not going to do it in this case But what we are going to do is we're going to use another feature here, which is in this particular section here, and you can get it to fill small holes or close the whole model. We will do that, and you will see it doesn't do a great job, if I'm honest with you. This is a learning curve for me. I will probably, if I did it again, I would turn the scan up or turn the mannequin upside down, scan the base, and then I would use the alignment feature in this software to actually align it. But in this case, it's good enough. Now we'll do the color mapping. So click on color mapping. Once again, this takes a little bit of time, but it's worth it. And look at that. It actually captures the color in such great detail. And I am genuinely impressed with what it's come out with. The metal's shiny, the wooden base looks wooden, the legs, all the joints, it just looks excellent. And for someone who's a beginner like me, the fact that I can create that in a pretty quick session just blows me away. So you can switch between these, and now we're going to export. So when you're in texture mode, you've only got the option of 2. But if you go into meshing mode, you can actually export as an STL, and as an STL, it can be imported and edited. If you click the home tab, you'll see it automatically saves it so you can pick it up anytime. So there you have it. We have completed our first scan, and I have to say that went really, really smoothly. Much, much better than I anticipated. I thought I was going to crash and burn, but I think I was quite lucky in terms of choosing this particular subject. As I said, it's got a great silhouette, it's wood, it's light, and I think because of that, it made the first one really, really successful. If you enjoyed that, if you want to see more, if you want to come along with a journey with me, I will be doing another one. We're going to be stepping up the difficulty in each video. Well worth sticking around for that. So subscribe to the channel if you want to follow, and any information about the turntable or the scanner is all going to be in the description. So if you want any information, leave the comments below. I always make sure I get back to you guys. So thank you for watching, and stay tuned for more great content.